Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you guys here in the chat. And anybody else that is watching or is going to watch this later on. Let me start by saying my name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. I hope you guys get something from this channel, whether it be true crime, life skills, substance abuse, education, the Serenity Sunday series, because that's what I do it for. I will do that, Rondi. Most of the time I'm doing true crime or I'm doing um, substance abuse. But Sundays are a special day for me. Sundays are the days when I can unwind and not necessarily have to focus on the dread and the fear and all the controversy of the true crime. Because sometimes it's like that brick wall behind me. You can beat your head against it and it's still gonna stay standing, you know? But these Sunday series are a lot more positive. Um, they're a lot more self enlightenment, and they are used to kind of give people hope to start their week off in a positive way. Because a lot of us are fighting a lot of battles out there that we don't talk to anybody about, that we don't let anybody know what's going on with us, and you get run down, you get burnt out, you get frustrated, you get angry. And some people reach their breaking points and they lash out and they hurt people. And they become stuck in the insanity of their own anger, frustration, their own darkness of their vision. Because as you see yourself, as you see your surroundings, you treat your environment that way. So if people want to be positive, how can you get positivity whenever you're just focusing on the negative? People know. People know the negative already. I was reading a post on my Facebook and they were asking to give pros and cons of this town. And there was more cons than there was pros. And the general consensus was there was more negative because people live in that mentality, which is partially true. Wherever you are, there you are. Whatever mindset you have, that's the mindset you take with you everywhere you go. Instead of looking at the glass half empty, some people look at it as half full. Because if you look at that glass as half empty all the time, you're just going to focus on what you don't have rather than what you do. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, Rondi. Good morning, Glitter. Glad you guys are here. And I'm not the moral compass of YouTube. I'm not an individual that is going to get into a lot of drama with people because that's not my goal. I was watching a live stream last night and it's still going on. And they've been talking about the same thing. It looks like for over 12 hours at least. And it seems like fear, anger, frustration, misunderstandings, they're all logs that you place on the secondary emotion of anger and you feed it. So every time you get fearful, you take that log and you put it on the fire and it burns, right? And then you get upset or you don't understand something. Those are more logs that you put on the fire. While anger is just burning it up as fast as possible. And it's sad that people feel that the only way out is to stay riled up, so to speak. And that's no judgment if you figure out what I'm talking about. That's no judgment at all. But just think if people spent as much energy on positivity as they do on negativity, how much better this world would be. How much better their world would be. I'm going to talk about dysfunctional families this morning. As always, I have a visual backdrop for you to follow along with. I hope y'all can see that. Let me try to make it a little bigger. Okay, that's pretty good. Can y'all see that okay? It says, as a kid, I was like a miniature adult. I cooked and cleaned and made sure my little brothers got off to school. My mom was always depressed and stayed in bed. She was in the hospital a lot. I guess I never really was a kid. Now I work hard to get A's, take on lots of responsibilities, put on this competent front. Inside I feel empty, really empty. My dad's an alcoholic. I was always afraid to invite other kids over because I didn't want them to see what my family was like. I never really got close to people. Now I don't seem to know how to let others in. I really don't know how to have a good relationship. Most of the time, I feel pretty alone. My parents have always had these big ambitions for me. They tell me what my career should be, who my friends should be, what kind of car I should drive, and who I should date. It's like they expect me to be perfect, but don't really believe I can blow my own nose. I feel like I'm suffocating, but if I get the least bit independent, they try to control me with money. When problems and circumstances such as parental alcoholism, mental illness, child abuse, or extreme parental rigidity and control interfere with family functioning, the effects on children can sometimes linger long after these children have grown up and left their problem families. Adults raised in dysfunctional families frequently report difficulties forming and maintaining intimate relationships, maintaining positive self esteem, and trusting others. They fear a loss of control and deny their feelings and their reality. So, chat, does any of this make sense to you guys? I mean, um, anything that I'm reading? It's a process, Glitter. It's a process. As you're going to see, a lot of times individuals don't even realize they're doing this to people that they love. I've grown up in a very dysfunctional family myself. And even as an adult, one of my parents is very dysfunctional. But how I deal with that is I had to show them that I wasn't that same person that they used to be able to control with that kind of emotional rigidity or verbal abuse or any of that stuff. Let me read what a dysfunctional family is. Family dysfunction can be any condition that interferes with healthy family functioning. Most families have some periods of time where functioning is impaired by stressful circumstances, a death in the family, a parent's serious illness, etc. Healthy families tend to return to normal functioning after the crisis passes. In dysfunctional families, however, problems tend to be chronic and children do not consistently get their needs met. Negative patterns of parental behavior tend to be dominant in their child's life. And I'm pretty sure that if you did grow up in that type of dysfunction, that you understand that you probably did the best you could with everything you are to be a better parent. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Let's talk about healthy families. Healthy families are not perfect. They may have yelling, bickering, misunderstanding, tension, hurt, and anger, but not all the time. In healthy families, emotional expression is allowed and accepted. Family members can freely ask for and give attention. Rules tend to be made explicit and remain consistent, but with some flexibility to adapt to individual needs and particular situations. Healthy families allow for individuality. Each member is encouraged to pursue his or her own interests, and boundaries between individuals are honored. Children are constantly treated with respect and do not fear emotional, verbal, physical, or sexual abuse. Parents can be counted on to provide care for their children. Children are given responsibilities appropriate to their age and are not expected to take on parental responsibilities. Finally, in healthy families, everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes are allowed. Perfection is unattainable, unrealistic, and potentially dull and sterile. There are many types of dysfunction in families. Some parents underfunction, leaving their children to tend for themselves. Other parents overfunction, never allowing their children to grow up and be on their own. Others are inconsistent or violate basic boundaries of appropriate behavior. Below is a brief description of some types of parental dysfunction along with some common problems associated with each. Deficient parents. Deficient parents hurt their children more by omission than commission. Frequently, chronic mental illness or disabling physical illness contributes to parental inadequacy. Children tend to take on adult responsibilities from a young age in these families. Parental emotional needs tend to take on precedence, and children are often asked to be their parents' caretakers. Children are robbed of their own childhood, and they learn to ignore their own needs and feelings. Because these children are simply unable to play an adult role and take care of their parents, they often feel inadequate and guilty. These feelings continue into adulthood. And some of the patterns that you learned as a child follow you into adulthood. That's why sometimes you feel like you don't have the world understood. Life is constantly changing for you. You can't adapt and maintain stability because you get stable in your life, something happens to knock that stability out from under you. And at a particular point, that doesn't mean that you're falling. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that for the moment, You have to work through these situations to get back to where you were, but you haven't lost everything and starting all over again. Many times individuals feel like if something comes along and they have to face some challenges, that their whole world has been disruptive, and they lose focus on the positive and they put all their energy on the negative, expecting it to change quickly because of the uncomfortableness of it all. Controlling parents. Unlike the deficient parents described above, controlling parents fail to allow their children to assume responsibilities appropriate for their age. These parents continue dominating and making decisions for their children well beyond the age at which this is necessary. Controlling parents are often driven by a fear of becoming unnecessary to their children. This fear leaves them feeling betrayed and abandoned when their children become independent. On the other hand, these children frequently feel resentful, inadequate, and powerless. Transitions into adult roles are quite difficult, as these adults frequently have difficulties making decisions independent from their parents. When they act independently, these adults feel very guilty, as if growing up were a serious act of disloyalty. You know, sometimes we have parents that use substances or were raised by individuals who use substances. Kind of like I have a parent whose father was an alcoholic, and even though my father never drank like that, he still had all the behavior pattern, the anger, the resentment, the frustration, all those things that drove his anger. Alcoholic families tend to be chaotic and unpredictable. Rules that apply one day don't apply the next. Promises are neither kept nor remembered. Expectations vary from day to day to the next. Parents may be strict at times and indifferent at others. In addition, emotional expression is frequently forbidden, and discussion about alcohol use or related family problems is usually non existent. Family members are usually expected to keep problems as a secret, thus preventing anyone from seeking help. These factors leave children feeling insecure, frustrated, and angry. Children often feel there must be something wrong with them, which makes their parents believe this way. Mistrust of others, difficulty with emotional expression, and difficulties with intimate relationships carry on into adulthood. Children of alcoholics are at much higher risk for developing alcoholism than are children of non alcoholics. And if you had abusive parents, abuse can be verbal, physical, or sexual. Verbal abuse, such as frequent belittling criticism, can have lasting effects, particularly when it comes to those entrusted with the child's care. Criticism can be aimed at the child's looks, intelligence, capabilities, or basic value. Some verbal abusers are very direct, while others use subtle put down disguised as humor. Both types are just as damaging. And you can tell in society, they say hurt people. And there's a lot of individuals in these YouTube streets, in these chats, that have been hurt. They're just using their pride to cover it up by hurting others with their words, with their actions, with their sarcasm, with their inability to communicate effectively without it becoming an argument or a debate. Definitions of physical abuse vary widely. Many parents, at one time or another, have felt the urge to strike their child. With physical abusive parents, however, the urge is frequent and little effort is made to control the impulse. The Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act defines physical abuse as the infliction of physical injuries such as bruises, burns, welts, cuts, bone, or skull fractures. These are caused by kicking, punching, biting, beating, knifing, strapping, paddling, etc. Striking a child had much to do with the meeting the parent's emotional needs and nothing to do with the concern for the child. Parents often erroneously justify the abuse as discipline intended to help the child. Physically abusive parents can create an environment of terror for the child, particularly since the violence is often random and unpredictable. Abused children often feel anger. Children of abusive parents have tremendous difficulties developing feelings of trust and safety even in their adult lives. While parents may justify or rationalize verbal or physical abuse as discipline aimed at somehow helping the child, there is no rationalization for sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is the most blatant example of an adult abusing a child purely for the adult's own gratification. And I'm going to skip over the sexual abuse part. Responsibility, or let me keep going. It says, regardless of the kind of dysfunction or abuse, affects vary widely across individuals. Support from other healthy adults. Success in other areas, positive changes in the family can help prevent or minimize negative effects. The following questions may lead you to identify how you may have been or continue to be affected. So pay attention to these questions that I'm asking you, and in your head or on a piece of paper or, you know, grab a pen and kind of check off which ones apply to you. Okay, so it says adults raised with family dysfunction report a variety of long-term effects. The following questions may help you assess your own situation. Answering yes to these may indicate some effects from family dysfunction. Most people could likely identify with some of them. If you find yourself answering yes to over half of them, you likely have some long-term effects of living in a dysfunctional family. If you find yourself answering yes to the majority of them, you might consider seeking some additional help. So, the first question, do you find yourself needing approval from others to feel good about yourself? Do you agree to do more for others than you can comfortably accomplish? Are you perfectionistic? Do you tend to avoid or ignore your own responsibilities? Do you find it difficult to identify what you're feeling? Do you find it difficult to express your feelings? Do you tend to think in all or nothing terms? Do you often feel lonely even in the presence of others? Is it difficult for you to ask for what you need from others? Is it difficult for you to maintain intimate relationships? Do you find it difficult to trust others? Do you tend need to do you tend to hang on to hurtful or destructive relationships? Are you more aware of others' needs and feelings than your own? Do you find it particularly difficult to deal with anger or criticism? Is it hard for you to relax and enjoy yourself? Do you find yourself feeling like a fake in your academic or professional life? Do you find yourself waiting for disaster to strike even when things are going well in your life? Do you find yourself having difficulty with authority figures? So, as it said, if you checked more yeses than nos, you might find yourself seeking some kind of emotional support from counseling, a clergy, um, anybody that can help you manage these feelings that tend to happen in your life, because sometimes people they know the problem, they just don't know how to get to the solution or maintain it very long. How can someone overcome the effects of a dysfunctional family? Regardless of the source of dysfunction, you may have survived, or you have survived. You have likely developed a number of valuable skills to get you through tough circumstances. And that's what I see. That's what I've seen in life is individuals who have overcame a lot of trauma and a lot of stressful situations in life and dysfunction. They're some of the strongest people I've ever met. But they only can stay strong so long until they crumble because they don't take care of themselves. They're always giving other people their strength, their energy. They're always giving somebody more of themselves than they continue to give themselves. And in turn, they wear themselves out. They get burnt out. And then that's where the depression, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger, the resentment, that's where all that comes in. Sometimes you can counteract that with just saying no. No, I can't do that for you right now. No, I can't help you right now. I'm not really able to. I'm busy doing this or I'm busy doing that. You don't owe an explanation to anybody. You can just say no. Consequently, it's important to first stop and take stock. You may find that much of what you've learned in your family is valuable. Many of the survival behaviors you developed are best assets. For example, people who grew up in dysfunctional families often have finely tuned empathy for others. They're often very achievement oriented and highly successful in some areas of their lives. They're often resilient to stress and adaptive to change. In examining changes you may want to make in yourself, it is important not to lose sight of your own good qualities. And that's what I was saying just a second ago. You have to learn to say no and start giving and saying yes to you. Because unless you learn how to do that, things aren't going to change overnight. But the more that you do it, the more it becomes repetitive. Patience is necessary. Negative effects from growing up often stem from survival behaviors that were very helpful when you were growing up, but may become problematic in your adult life. Remember that you spent years learning and practicing your old survival skills, so it may take a while to learn and practice your new behaviors. I can share a story with you. Up until 28, I was very in tune with my survival skills. You know, um, And at that point, I noticed that my superpower started to fade away, and that superpower was dissociation, meaning that when life became too stressful, or life became too hardcore, or I became too angry and withdrawn, I could dissociate. I could take myself out of the situation and still be in it and act through the motions and be totally numb to all of it. But the older that I got, the less that worked. And then all of a sudden, I was raw to all my emotional stuff that I had been protecting. And what ended up happening was I had to relearn how to deal with my life without that dissociative crutch, so to speak. In most dysfunctional families, children tend to learn to doubt their own intuition and emotional reactions. Often, outside support provides an objective perspective and much needed affirmation, which will help you learn to trust your own reactions. Helper support can take many forms: individual counseling, therapy groups, such as survivors of incest or adult children of dysfunctional families, self help groups such as adult children of alcoholics, Al Anon, Codependence Anonymous, and there's a lot of counseling out there. Growing up in a dysfunctional family often results in exaggerated attention to others' feelings and a denial of your own feelings. That's what I'm saying. You often don't know how you're feeling because you're so focused on other people. While this often results in good sensitivity to others, You may have neglected sensitivity to yourself. Stop each day and identify emotions you are or have been experiencing. What triggered them? How much you affirm to respond to them. Try keeping a daily feelings journal. Be selective in sharing your feelings with others. You may not find it helpful to share all of your feelings. In sharing your feelings with others, take small risks first, then wait for a reaction. If this response seems supportive and affirming, try taking some larger risks. Yeah, you can't tell your stuff to everybody, but we do need an outlet. We do need an outlet. We do need somebody that'll listen, somebody that'll generally and genuinely listen without judgment, without trying to fix you. Allow yourself to feel angry about what happened. You said, what? Allow yourself to feel angry about what happened. Forgiveness is a very responsible last step in recovery, but it is a horrible first step. Children need to believe and trust their parent. Therefore, when their parents behave badly, children tend to blame themselves and feel responsible for their parents' mistakes. These faulty conclusions are carried into adulthood, often leaving guilt, shame, and low self esteem. When you begin with trying to forgive your parents, you will likely continue to feel very badly about yourself. Placing the responsibility for what happened during your childhood where it belongs, with the responsible adults, allows you to feel less guilt and shame and more nurturance and acceptance. I often tell people it's okay to feel the situation through. And I wish that I had a diagram where I could show you what I'm talking about. But if you can visualize it, at one end, there's the activating event, which that's what happens. And then right next to that, there's your thoughts and feelings. And then there's the action. Well, most of the time, the action is way far away, and there's a lot of emotional attachment to that situation, even if it's just a thought. You're getting so caught up in the middle that you stop because you don't want to feel it all the way through. You don't want to get to the action because you felt this feeling or this thought so many times in your life you want to just cut it off. What this is saying and what I'm suggesting is that you feel this for once all the way through and know that you're not going to die at the end of the action. Hell, you might get a different result than you've ever gotten. You might finally understand that whatever you've been fearing the most really was not that severe, because we go into fight or flight during that time and we want to shut it down or we want to run. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. If you decide to do this, it's important to keep your goal clear. Do you want to encourage change and work for a better relationship? Or are you trying to give hurt or get even with them back? Pursuing revenge frequently results in more guilt and shame in the long run. Holding on to anger and resentment indefinitely is also problematic and self-defeating. Focusing on old resentments can prevent growth and change. You ever known people that you talk to them and they're willing to talk to you, right? And you're having a good conversation. But probably 5 minutes into the conversation, you can tell that they're not even invested in what you're saying. And then you say, well, what's wrong? And just the moment that you say that, you already know what's coming. You already know what they're about to say. And it usually starts like this. Well, so and so is acting up again. And you already know the rest of the story, even before they tell you. You already know. And before long, you've already tuned out on the story because they've told it for so many times. and you've given them suggestion and you've given them the ear and you've allowed yourself to listen and be supportive. But by this point, you're like, we've talked about this over and over. How come you can't just change it? How come you can't just let go? Well, they can't let go because they're tied to it. Because of the fear, just what I was telling you. They're stuck in the middle of that activating event and action at the end of doing something different. They're stuck in the middle. Because most of the time, if they do something different, then that means that a lot of the area of their lives get changed. They might have to move out. They might have to change their phone number. They might have to, start making it with their own income. They might not be living a life that they're accustomed to. And that's all scary whenever you're used to a comfortable existence, even if it's not stable. When you're used to living a certain way, and then all of a sudden there's uncertainty. Well, instead of a house, I got to move to an apartment. Where am I going to take? Am I going to take my dog? Am I going to have to leave the dog behind? Am I going to be able to take all my stuff, or am I going to have to leave my stuff? Am I going to be able to take, you know, am I going to be able to make it off the money that I make? Or do I just stay here because it may be bad, but it comes and goes and I can overcome it until I wear down? And these are some of the things that happen when people are trying to get out of dysfunction. Take small risk at learning others to know you. Slowly build up taking bigger risks. Learning who to trust and how much is trust is a lengthy process. Adult children from dysfunctional families tend to approach relationships in an all or nothing manner. Either they become very intimate and dependent in a relationship, or they insist on nearly complete self sufficiency, taking little or few interpersonal risk. Both of these patterns tend to be self defeating. Frequently, children of dysfunctional families continue to seek approval and acceptance from their parents and their families. If these people could not meet your needs when you were a child, they were unlikely to meet your needs now. Recognize your parents' limitations while you're still accepting whatever support they can offer. Seek your support from other adults. Practice saying how you feel and asking for what you want or you need. Don't expect people to guess. Tell them. This step will likely require much effort. Practice taking good care of yourself. Begin to change your relationship with your family. And hopefully this elicits the change that you're hoping to make in your life, because change is scary. Change is unfamiliar. But you know what? If you just take those small steps toward change, you'll look back one day and you'll be further away from the dysfunction and you'll be a stronger person due to it. If I can suggest something, you know, keep your goals and your understanding of yourself private. Like if your goal is to save up $2,500 in a year, don't tell anybody. That way, if sometimes you can't put as much money in there, you don't have other people saying, well, you can't spend that. You're saving money, remember? You know? Or your goals. If you fail to meet a goal, then you have negative people talking to you in your ear about, see, I knew you couldn't reach it, or man, keep going. Don't be weak. Don't be this. Don't be that. We need to quit putting labels on each other about our behaviors, about our thoughts, about our emotions. It's one of my pet peeves is when people label me because that just keeps you so intertwined in their belief of you. I hope I am being positive to you guys today. I know we were talking about a negative situation, but at the end, I hope that you can finally find a way to break free of that. And like I said, it takes time, it's a process, but you have to start right now, like today, like at this moment, after this live, go do something for you. Every Sunday, I do say that. I say, you need to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of you, nobody is going to magically step up to do it for you. Even when you're sick, you probably notice really who's there for you and who's never been. Sometimes it saddens us to believe that we have family or friends in our corners, but when we need them the most, they're nowhere to be found. It's usually strangers to step up to the plate. But with your trust issues, with your insecurities, with your issues of letting people in, you don't allow strangers in because that's the role that the family or your loved ones should be filling. You know, taking care of yourself as an adult is hard because you give in to so much temptation of the world. It's easy to do. It's so easy to do. You beat yourself up whenever you fall down. You wouldn't beat your child up if they fell down in front of you, would you? Well, I'm an adult. I'm supposed to know better. Well, what makes you perfect? Because you grew up? There's still a limit to certain things that you can't do, you know? And that goes along with the inner child stuff that I talked about one day. One thing I've realized, and I'm very thankful for you that continue to come into my chats and continue to give me positive feedback and you're able to chat amongst yourselves and feel safe here. I realized a very, very long time ago that what I speak about is not the most positive thing. Even if it's positive, it's not received the way it's intended to be received. If people understood that they could be their own best ally for change, or if they even admitted they had problems, then they would take themselves out of the harmful, toxic relationship that they cling on to with other people. You know, my videos of self help and Sunday Serenity might never be popular, and that's okay with me. That's okay. Hell, if my true crime videos are not very popular with people, that's okay. I believe that I've met the people that cross my path that are meant to have crossed it, and those that are meant to cross it will continue to come because everything happens for a reason. That's why I don't compare myself to other channels. That's why I don't sit there and carry on and carry on and carry on like other channels. To me, that's a waste of time and a waste of energy. Sure, it might get you a lot of clicks and it might get you a lot of likes and you might get in the algorithm, But it's selling out because that's not who I am. That's not who I am. I'm just a guy who believes in change because I've been through the pits of hell to get here. And I just want to give back because I made a promise a long time ago that I wanted to be the person that gave more than I took. Go lightly with the thoughts about yourself, you know? How you talk to yourself is how you're going to treat yourself. So what you say to you is how you either treat yourself or you treat other people in your life. And you probably elevate yourself and become entitled, which is just as harmful, you know? You know, I didn't want to be a therapist. I just wanted a job where I could dress up. That's why I became a therapist. Because at that point in my life, I hated people. I hated the thought of whining people. I hated the thought of people that had problems. And over time, the layers peeled off of me until I got to the real me. Because most people don't even really know who they are. They can tell you about their achievements, they can tell you about their failures, they can tell you about their kids, they can tell you about their material things, but they can't tell you who they really are. You ask somebody, "Who are you?" Don't tell me about your extended version of who you are. Tell me who you are. Are you an honest person? Are you a loving person? Are you a caring person? Well, yes. Do you do that to yourself first before you give that to other people? Well, no, you're not supposed to. That's being selfish. No, that's being empowered. You must give yourself first what it is that you're wanting to give other people. Otherwise, it's not received with the kindness and gentleness because people can see when you treat yourself like crap, but you're trying to give them something that you don't give yourself. And worse yet, if you don't have it and you're giving it superficially, they can see that also. I've learned to care about people, not tolerate them. I've learned to care about them, but I have very little tolerance for childish behaviors, especially from adults. I understand why they do it, but it still doesn't make it right. You have those adults who want to hang on to being 12, 13 years old in their belief systems and the way they act, the way they treat other people, and they expect you to be just like them because misery loves company. I refuse to be a part of that. I've been miserable. It's not a good place to be. It's not a happy place to be. I've always had an individual in my groups that wanted to be the clown, that wanted to be the stand-up comedian, always debating and making something funny so the whole group would laugh and take the attention off what I was trying to say. And you know what I do? I call them out. I say, "Well, thank you for your comment, but stand-up hour isn't this hour, so If you kindly wait till the next hour or even do it outside on the break. It's not right now while I'm talking because I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying to help people save their own lives. So if you want to joke, you want to clown, you want to do all that because you're incapable of digging deeper inside who you are, that's fine. Be you. Just don't do it here. You know? But on a positive note, I want to play some music for a little bit and then I'll come back in and we'll call it a day. Let me get something nice to play here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm trying to find something slow. Well, that's not it.
Took a swing at a wrecking ball and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can do is play the game. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I'm sad to say I'm sorry, so lie. Pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't wanna live a lie. Too many lows, too many highs. Too many things to criticize. And so I leave it all behind. Don't wanna live a lie. Life kept spitting at my feet and forced me down a dead-end street, when all I had went up in flames, burning only dark remains. I cover up every part of my skin, oh, 'cause I don't like the person within. Oh, I know I'm the one to blame. All I can do is take the shame. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I'm too sad to say I'm sorry, so lie and pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. Whoa, I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't wanna live a lie. Too many lows, too many highs. Too many things to criticize. So I leave it all behind. Don't wanna live a lie.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying out of town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
That song is really awesome. I had to go find out who sang that because I was like, man, I hear that on a lot of my videos, and I'm like, man, I played this song a lot. Who sings this? So unconsciously, I guess I'm trying to figure. I was trying to figure out who sang it, and that's the person who sings it. And it has a nice beat to it. It has a nice vocal pitch to it. Um, you know, as we do get older, our bodies start to tear down a little bit. Mine is due to all the years I played sports. Playing football all those years. Um, but I refuse to let myself just lay around and fade away. I'd rather to suffer through all the pains and aches and still get up and do something, even if I don't do it as fast as I used to. You can't just lay around and wait to eventually pass away, I can't. I can only speak to my for myself. But we can either become the solution to our problems or we can stay in the problem. We have a choice. If we want to get better, then we're going to do something better, you know? Yeah, that's an awesome song too. I used to wake up every morning and play that. I'd be like, Alexa, play You Say by Lauren Daigle. You Say by Lauren Daigle. And then it'd start to play. I miss my Alexa, man. Like, I don't have it hooked up. It's in my storage. So I used to have full conversations with my Alexa. I know that sounds crazy, but, you know, yeah, I used to have some good conversations with my Alexa. I realized that for a lot of years I stuffed down. I talked about it last night about being the nerd in me. You know, it was almost like for so many years people pushed education and knowledge. You got to be good grades. You got to, have good grades and this and that. I kind of just shut down on knowledge. I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to read books. I didn't want to do all that. But the healthier I became, I realized that by reading, it challenges your negative bias. It challenges your thought pattern. It challenges and gives you new insight on things you've never learned before. Kind of like last night when I presented that court video. I really enjoyed that. Even though it was a serious topic, they explained the court process so easy to understand that anybody should be able to understand the process that's gone on in certain cases that everybody talks about instead of just shuffling nonsense. I guess it's true. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. I'm always going to cheer for the good guy no matter what. You know, the bad guy is locked up for a reason, and that's in any case. And if the bad guy turns out not to be the bad guy, well, that's good. But I'm always going to cheer for the good guy. I always believe that good triumphs over evil. That's my belief. And people won't be able to change that, you know, because I've done a lot of bad things in my life. And if I didn't believe that I could get better, I would have never changed. I would have stayed stuck in the problem like I did for so many years. Your thinking has to believe that good can triumph over evil, no matter how small. I believe in each stream that I do, I hope that I can reach one person, and give them enough hope to keep going, to keep going. You've been through worse, you've been through better. Just hold on. The miracle will come. And with that, I'll leave you for now. You guys have a wonderful Sunday. Go out and enjoy yourself. Get some sun, play in the water, walk around, play with your dog, play with your grandchildren, play with, you know, enjoy a good movie, cry, smile, laugh, eat. Don't take yourself so seriously. Try to learn to just enjoy the small things in life as they come, as they're already there. I might suggest that you get you a glass that you don't use, and every day that you're negative, pour a little bit out of it, fill it all the way to the top. Every day that you're negative, look at that glass and try to keep it full. But if you can't do it, pour a little bit out, because that's your mindset. Or every time you give something to somebody else that you didn't mean giving to, pour a little bit of that glass out. And that'll give you a visual reminder of how much you've given and how much you need to replenish yourself. I hope that makes sense. You guys be amazing today, okay? And I'll talk to you soon. I'm not going to play any music on the way out, so I'm just going to turn it off. So you guys be awesome, all right? I'll talk to you soon.